Welcome to your storytelling. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll never forget the moment I found it, the tiny blinking red light in the corner of the mirror. I thought it was a glitch at first, but then I saw the camera. It was there, hidden in plain sight, staring at me. I leaned in closer. How had I missed this? Was I imagining things? My hands shook as I stepped back, my mind racing. Why would it be there? It didn't make sense. Could it be for security? My gut told me no. Something wasn't right. The man I married, the man who seemed so loving, had a secret, and I was about to uncover it. I confronted him that night. I thought he would deny it, but he didn't. He simply stared at me, his face turning pale. I demanded to know why, and for the first time, he didn't hide behind a mask of lies. His lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "You figured it out," he said. His words felt like ice running through my veins. My mind screamed for answers. How long had this been happening? Was it just one camera? Was he watching me all the time? I had no idea, but I knew one thing. My world was about to crumble. At first, I didn't want to believe it. Maybe I was just being paranoid. After all, it was just one camera, right? But deep down, I knew it wasn't for security. Something felt off. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, a misunderstanding. But the more I thought about it, the more the pieces fell into place. The late nights, the odd glances, the way he always seemed to be a step ahead of me. I wasn't crazy. He was hiding something. And I wasn't going to rest until I uncovered every secret he had been keeping. I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced as I searched every inch of our house, looking for hidden cameras, behind picture frames, inside light fixtures, tucked away in the corners of rooms. Each discovery was a gut punch, but the worst was yet to come. It wasn't just one camera. He had planted dozens. Everywhere. He'd been watching me for years, recording my every move, my every word. I felt sick to my stomach. How could I not have noticed? How had I been living in this house, sharing my life with someone who saw me as nothing more than a pawn? I sat at his laptop, hands trembling, as I clicked through folders. My stomach turned as I opened the video files. There I was, me, in my own home. I saw myself, so naive, unaware that every moment was being recorded. There were hours of footage, of me cooking, of me dressing, of me doing nothing but living my life. But it wasn't just the footage that horrified me. It was what came next. I saw other faces, his friends, strangers, people I didn't even know, watching me, laughing at my privacy. The realization hit me like a truck. He had been sharing the footage. I couldn't stop the questions. Who else had seen this footage? Who else had been watching me without my knowledge? I clicked through more videos, desperately trying to find answers. There they were, his friends, some of them I had met, others I hadn't. They were all watching. And then it hit me. This wasn't just about his personal satisfaction. He had been sharing these intimate moments with others. The thought of strangers seeing me, laughing at me, judging me, it made me feel sick. I was no longer just his wife. I was entertainment. And it was all being broadcasted for their amusement. I thought I knew him. I thought I understood him. But this was something else. He had told me time and time again how much he loved me. But love didn't do this. Love didn't spy. Love didn't take pleasure in watching someone suffer. The more I thought about it, the more disgusted I became. This wasn't about love. This was about control, about power. He wanted to control me, to make me feel small, powerless. I had been nothing more than a puppet in his sick little game, and I was done being his plaything. I couldn't let it go. I had to know how long this had been going on. When did it start? I dug through the footage, trying to trace the timeline. And then I found it. The earliest footage was from before we even got married. He had been recording me before I even knew he existed. It was like everything we had built together had been based on a lie. Our relationship, our marriage. It was all a carefully constructed facade. He had been watching me from the start, always observing, always controlling. I was nothing more than a subject in his twisted experiment. Every word he had ever said to me felt like a lie. The way he had always told me how he would protect me, how he would always be there for me. It was all empty. The late-night work meetings that kept him away for hours, The secret of phone calls, the times he would disappear for days. I had trusted him. I had believed in him. But now, I saw it for what it really was. Lies, manipulation, and deceit. He wasn't the man I thought he was. He was a stranger, and I was just a pawn in his game. Every day, I started to fear him more and more. Every time he looked at me, I felt exposed, like he could see through me, like he knew every thought, every secret. It was as if he had this power over me that I couldn't escape. It was suffocating. I couldn't breathe in my own home. I started looking over my shoulder all the time, afraid that I was being watched, that he was always there, lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce. I had become a prisoner in my own life, and I couldn't escape. It wasn't just the fact that he had been spying on me. It was the betrayal. The way he had turned everything I believed about our marriage into a sick game. He hadn't just broken my trust. He had shattered it into a million pieces. And what hurt the most was that he had shared it with others. He had made me the subject of their cruel jokes, their laughter, their mockery. I was no longer just his wife. I was a spectacle for him and his friends to enjoy. And that, more than anything, tore me apart. The worst part was realizing that he had turned my entire life into a performance. Every moment, every gesture, was captured and stored away for his amusement. My privacy was gone. My dignity was gone. I was no longer in control of my own story. He had written it for me, and I was just a character in his twisted narrative. The darkness of what he had done sunk in deeper, and I realized that I had been living in a prison he had built. The worst part was that I had helped him build it. I had trusted him, and now I was trapped. I couldn't stop thinking about the footage. What if it got out? What if someone saw it? What if my friends, my family, found out what he had done? The thought of people I cared about seeing me like that, exposed, vulnerable, it made my blood run cold. I wasn't just afraid for myself anymore. I was terrified that this man, this monster, would ruin my reputation, my relationships, my life. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. I had to live in constant fear, wondering when or if the truth would be exposed. As the days passed, things between us became strained. He no longer treated me like the woman he loved. His eyes were cold, distant, like he was watching me from the outside. It was like I had become invisible to him. The man I had married was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. But I couldn't let myself feel sorry for him. Not anymore. I had to focus on what came next. I had to make sure he didn't win. I had to erase everything, all the footage, all the evidence. I had to take back control of my life. I reached my breaking point one night, staring at him across the table. I could feel the weight of his gaze on me, like he was watching me through the lens of a camera. I wasn't the woman he had married anymore. I was a stranger to him. And that realization, it hit me like a brick. Everything I thought I knew about us, about him, had been a lie. The love we had shared was just a facade. The man I thought I loved didn't exist. And it was in that moment that I knew I couldn't stay. I couldn't leave without a plan. I had to be smart. I had to make sure he didn't get the upper hand. I knew he was watching me, listening to me. I had to be careful. I started making arrangements, getting my things together, finding a place to stay. But I had to erase everything first. I couldn't let him keep his hold over me, not after everything he had done. He had taken everything from me, but I wasn't going to let him take my future too. It was time to fight back. I knew the stakes were high, but I couldn't live in fear anymore. Each night I rehearsed my escape plan in my mind. How would I leave without him noticing? Where would I go? I couldn't trust anyone anymore, not even my closest friends. He had been manipulative, controlling every aspect of my life, and I was determined to escape his grip. I packed quietly, taking only the essentials, leaving the rest behind. It felt like I was cutting ties with the life I had known, because I was. This wasn't just a physical escape, it was a mental one too. On the night I decided to leave, everything felt surreal. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. As I gathered the last of my things, he walked into the room, catching me off guard. His expression was cold, calculating. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked, his voice eerily calm. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm, pulling me back. You think you can just walk away? He sneered. For the first time, I saw the monster beneath the surface, and I knew I had to fight back. I finally broke free from his grip and ran out of the house, but he followed. His footsteps were like thunder in the night, but I didn't stop. My heart was pounding in my chest, adrenaline pumping through my veins. He called after me, but I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I had to keep moving. It was then I realized the full extent of his manipulation. He hadn't just been controlling my actions. He had been controlling my thoughts, my emotions. He had planted the seeds of doubt, made me feel weak. But I wasn't weak anymore. I was free. After I left, I went straight to a lawyer. I knew I had to get a restraining order, but I needed to do more. I wanted him to be held accountable. I showed the lawyer the footage I had found. He was horrified, and so was I. But I needed to make sure that everything he had done was exposed. I couldn't let him get away with destroying me. The footage wasn't just a betrayal, it was a crime. And I was going to make sure he paid for it. He had no idea what was coming. I thought about all the times he had lied to me, all the times he had manipulated me into thinking everything was fine. But I wasn't fine. I had never been fine. I had been living in a web of deceit. Now, I was fighting for justice. The lawyer said we had a strong case, but we needed more evidence. I had the footage, but there were also witnesses, people who had been in on it, people who had seen what he was doing. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about making sure this didn't happen to anyone else. During the investigation, we uncovered something even darker. It wasn't just him watching me. He had been running a hidden network, a group of men who shared these videos, women, too. My footage was just one part of a larger, sick operation. He wasn't the only one who had been exploiting women. Others had been doing the same thing. I felt sick to my stomach as I realized how deep this ran. But I wasn't going to let it slide. This wasn't just a betrayal of me. It was a betrayal of every woman he had ever used. The legal battle was long, but it was worth it. The truth came out in court, and the weight of it was unbearable. He was arrested, along with several others involved in the network. My heart ached as I watched him being led away in handcuffs. He was no longer the man I had once loved. He was a criminal, a predator, and I had been his victim. But I wasn't broken. I had fought back, and I had won. The moment he was taken away, I felt a rush of relief. I could finally breathe again. Life after everything was hard, and the scars ran deep. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the violation of my privacy, my body, my soul. I had trusted him, and he had shattered everything. But I wasn't going to let that define me. I took time to heal, to rebuild my life, and to regain my sense of self. It was a long road, but every step forward was a victory. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. I would never let anyone control me again. It's been months since everything happened, and I can finally say I'm healing. Slowly, but surely. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever realized, and that the truth has a way of coming out. The road ahead won't be easy, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. I've rebuilt my life, and I'm learning to trust again. This time, myself. No matter what happened in the past, it doesn't define who I am today. I've found my voice, and I won't ever let it be silenced again. Even though I've moved forward, I can still feel the echoes of the past. The nights I spent in that house, the look in his eyes when he would smile as he watched me. It's hard to forget. Sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat, reliving those moments. But I remind myself that I'm no longer that person. The fear, the anxiety, it's all fading away. I'm taking back control. Every step I take away from that nightmare is a reminder that I am not defined by what he did to me. I am stronger than that. I am free. For so long, I had felt powerless. He made every decision for me, manipulated every aspect of my life, and I had allowed it. But now, I realize the power of choice. The power to say no. The power to walk away. I am no longer a victim of his manipulation. I have the power to choose my path, to make my own decisions, to be the person I was always meant to be. It's a liberating feeling, one I never thought I would experience. I am in control of my own life now, and I will never give that up. Even now, I struggle with trust. After everything he did, How could I ever trust anyone again? It's hard to let people in when you've been betrayed in such a profound way. But I'm working on it. I'm learning to trust again, slowly but surely. Not everyone is like him. Not everyone will hurt me. It's a difficult lesson, but I'm teaching myself that trust can be rebuilt. I don't have to carry the weight of the past forever. I can let it go. And maybe, just maybe, I can trust again. I've found strength in unexpected places. Friends who stood by me, family who supported me, people who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. They reminded me that I wasn't alone, that there was love and support all around me. I hadn't seen it before. I had been so isolated, so consumed by my fear, that I couldn't see the people who cared for me. But now, I know they're there, and I'm not afraid to lean on them. I've learned that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to receive love. Healing isn't a straight line. It's messy, it's painful, and sometimes it feels impossible. But every day, I'm moving forward. I'm learning to forgive myself for not seeing the signs, for staying so long, for believing in the wrong person. It wasn't my fault. I was manipulated, controlled, and deceived. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm healing. And though the process is slow, it's worth it. The pieces of me that were shattered are coming back together, one step at a time. I'm whole again. Closure is something I never thought I'd get. I thought I would always carry this weight, this burden of what happened, forever. But as I stood there in front of him, watching as he was taken away, I realized that I had closed that chapter of my life. He may have stolen my privacy, my trust, my peace of mind, but he didn't steal my future. I can move on. I can create something new. And that is the ultimate form of closure. I have reclaimed my life. He no longer has control over me. Now, I'm rediscovering who I am. I'm no longer defined by the woman I was in that toxic relationship. I'm finding the pieces of myself that I lost. My passions, my dreams, my ambitions, they're all coming back. I'm taking risks, stepping outside of my comfort zone, and embracing who I really am. The journey is not easy, but it's worth it. I'm building a life that's mine. It's my life now, and no one is going to take that away from me. I had a moment last week, sitting on my couch with nothing but a cup of tea in my hands, and I realized how far I've come. I felt strong, powerful. I wasn't the broken woman I had been just months ago. I had reclaimed my power. It was in that moment that I truly understood. No one can take away your power unless you let them. I chose not to let him take mine, and that's when I knew I had one. I had the strength to survive, and now I have the strength to thrive. There are days when anger takes over. Anger at him, at myself, at the world for letting this happen. I feel like screaming, like burning everything to the ground. But then I remember, anger won't fix anything. It won't heal me. It won't give me back what he stole. Instead, I choose peace. It's hard, especially when I still feel the sting of what happened. But I won't let anger consume me. It's a struggle every day, but I'm learning to let go. I can't change the past, but I can change how I react to it. Forgiveness is heavy. It's something I never thought I would be able to do, but I know it's the only way forward. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what he did. It's about releasing myself from the burden of holding on to the pain. I don't need to carry that weight anymore. I'm not forgiving him for him. I'm forgiving for me, for my healing, for my peace of mind. And though it feels impossible at times, I'm working on it. One day, I'll be able to forgive him, not for him, but for me. Sometimes I worry. What if I end up in another toxic relationship? What if I repeat the same mistakes? What if I trust the wrong person again? The fear still lingers in the back of my mind, but I refuse to let it control me. I'm more cautious now, more aware of the red flags. I trust my instincts, and I've learned to set boundaries. I know what I deserve now, and I won't settle for less. The past doesn't have to define my future. I'm in control, and I won't let fear dictate my choices. Confidence is a funny thing. It comes and goes, especially after something like this. But bit by bit, I'm getting it back. I'm learning to stand tall again, to speak my mind, to walk into rooms without feeling small. I'm learning that I don't have to apologize for being myself. The woman I am now is strong, resilient, and worthy of respect. I won't let anyone diminish my worth again. I'm taking back my power. I'm rediscovering the confident woman I once was, and I won't ever let her go again. I dream of a fresh start, a place where no one knows my story, where I can be someone new. The pain of the past lingers, but I'm ready to leave it behind. I'm ready to build a future that's mine, a future where I am in control, where I can thrive without fear. I've learned so much about myself, about my strength, and about the life I deserve. I'm not running from the past. I'm running toward the future, and I'm ready to start over, to create a life that's beautiful, peaceful, and mine. Just when I thought I couldn't go any further, I found unexpected support. A friend, a stranger, someone who had been through something similar. They reached out to me, shared their story, and reminded me that I wasn't alone. It was like a light in the darkness, a beacon of hope when I needed it the most. They showed me that healing isn't just about time. It's about connection. I wasn't alone in this. There were others who had walked this path, and together, we could find our way through. Self-love has been the hardest thing to learn. For so long, I didn't believe I was worth it. I let his lies define my worth. But now, I know better. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of happiness. I'm learning to love myself, flaws and all. It's a slow process, but it's worth it. I'm taking time for me, for my healing. I'm putting myself first, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally on the right path. I am enough. I used to think that showing vulnerability was a weakness, but now I see it differently. It's a strength. It's in those moments when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable that we heal. By sharing my story, by opening up to others, I've learned that vulnerability can be a source of power. It's not about exposing your wounds, but about showing your strength in healing. I've allowed myself to cry, to feel the weight of the pain, but I've also allowed myself to rise from it. Vulnerability is not my enemy, it's my ally. There are still moments when regret washes over me. The what-ifs play in my mind. What if I had left sooner? What if I had seen the signs? What if I had been stronger? But I know now that regret is a futile emotion. I did the best I could with the knowledge and strength I had at the time. Regret won't change the past. It won't rewrite my story. I've learned to let go of the what-ifs and embrace the reality of the present. I'm not defined by the past anymore. I'm moving forward, not looking back. There's a power in speaking up, in using your voice when you've been silenced for so long. For years, I kept quiet about what was happening, too afraid to speak out, too afraid to face the consequences. But now, I've found the courage to speak the truth, to share my story. I realized that my silence allowed the abuse to continue. But my voice, my truth, will stop it. I'm no longer afraid of his power or the power of others like him. Speaking up is my form of resistance. Speaking up is my freedom. Independence used to be a foreign concept to me. I relied on him for everything: emotional support, financial stability, even my sense of self-worth. But now, I've learned the power of being independent. I've learned how to take care of myself, how to make decisions for myself. I've rebuilt my life from the ground up. And every day, I remind myself that I don't need anyone else to complete me. I am whole. I am enough. My independence is a gift I will never take for granted again. Peace is what I crave now. After everything, I just want peace. Peace within myself, peace in my environment, peace in my relationships. I've realized that peace isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's something you cultivate within. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm learning to quiet the noise, to let go of the chaos. I don't need drama. I don't need turmoil. I just need peace. It's a delicate thing, but I'm working towards it every single day. And for the first time in a long time, I feel close to it. When I look at myself now, I see strength. I see someone who has fought through unimaginable pain. Someone who has stood up when the world seemed to push her down. I don't see the broken woman I was before. I see resilience. I see power. I see a woman who has learned to fight for herself, to protect herself, and to stand tall in the face of adversity. I am proud of the woman I've become. I've faced my fears, my past, and come out stronger. And no one can take that away from me. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to hurt you. After everything, I've been hesitant to open up to new people. But there are those who have proven to me that trust can be rebuilt. I've met people who have shown me kindness, loyalty, and respect. I've learned that not all relationships are toxic. Some people genuinely care. They're not out to manipulate or control. I'm building new relationships, and though I move cautiously, I'm learning that it's okay to trust again. Slowly but surely, I'm opening my heart to the right people. For so long, I let his lies define who I was. I believed that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy of anything more than what he gave me. But I'm reclaiming my identity now. I'm remembering who I was before him. Strong, independent, free. And though it's a long journey, I'm rediscovering that woman. I'm not the person he tried to mold me into. I'm not the person he thought he could control. I am who I choose to be, and I will never let anyone take that away from me again. Healing is not linear. There are good days and bad days. Some days I feel strong and empowered, and other days I feel like I'm back at square one. But I've learned that healing is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to have setbacks. It's okay to take your time. As long as you keep moving forward, you're healing. I'm not rushing my healing process. I'm letting it unfold at its own pace. I'm taking each day as it comes, and I know that one day, I'll look back and realize just how far I've come. Now, I can finally say it. I am free. Free from him. Free from the lies. Free from the fear. I am no longer trapped by the past, by his manipulation, or by the shame he tried to instill in me. I've broken free from the chains that bound me. I'm living my truth, embracing my freedom, and walking toward a future I never thought was possible. I am not the woman I was. I am the woman I was always meant to be. Strong, independent, and free. And nothing, not even him, can ever take that away from me